this is the way that I think about making investments, whether it's an investment in time, whether it's an investment in money, whether it's an investment in your personal life, like a brand or equity or social capital. I mean, this is the way I think about how I spend all of my energy and resources inside my business, and I'm going to give it to you today so that you can go out and use it and grow your net worth and grow your network and grow your entire world. I think of my money as an army. I like to send my army out as a recruiting army, meaning I'll put 100,000 men out into the world and I want them to come back with 110 or 115,000. And the reality is, the reason I think about that is, number one, the general that I send that money out to is more important than almost anything else. It's more important than the industry, the idea, the execution. Like, the general is the leading factor of whether or not I'm going to get my army back and whether or not they're going to recruit more soldiers. So number one, I'm always looking at who's the general. Are they singularly focused on this particular, business or this plan? I'm looking at what's their previous experience? What's the plan? How are they going to do it? What's the time frame that's realistic? What's my protection? This is a big deal too. Most people will send an army out without any protection. I like to send 100,000 men out with some sort of security, knowing that if my men die, I've got another avenue to pull 100,000 men from. And that's a really big deal. The other issue is that I view this army as indispensable, meaning I can't lose this 100,000 men. Like, I can't afford it. Even though it's a very small percentage of my portfolio, of my wealth, the reality is when you send your army out and you're like, they're expendable, I don't care, guess what? You're actually probably going to lose that army. Those are the people who are in the front line and dying. So the other principle around this that's really important too is, if I send my army out, I want to know the general that I'm giving that army to is also got men in the fight that are at the front lines as well. And I'm hoping that general is leading from the front, meaning that general is not on a horse sitting on the hill looking down on the army fighting, hoping that it's okay. I want that general off his horse with his bayonet, with his weapon in the front, with my soldiers, hopefully right behind his soldiers. And if you adopt this mindset of thinking of your money as an army, I think it'll help you build and grow wealth. Here's what typically happens. Somebody comes to me with their vision or their idea or their business concept, hoping for an opinion and maybe an investment. And I always start off thinking, is my money going to be protected? And the way I think about it is that every single dollar that I have are like soldiers, and I'm putting them out into the world hoping, number one, that they don't die. Number two, that they're recruiting other soldiers to come back and grow my army. About 3 years ago, a friend came to me and said, hey, I have this hotel deal in Texas and I want you to invest. And I was like, I was thinking about it and I actually liked the idea. In fact, I liked it so much that I put my daughter's money, my daughter's college money, at risk along with my own money. Now, again, I think of my dollars as soldiers. I want them to go out into the world, recruit others, come back, and grow my army. So after year one, and there was no progress, year two, there was no progress, I went back to this guy, and I was like, hey, man, for whatever reason, you're not executing. I don't think you're actually going to complete this project. I knew at that moment my soldiers were at risk. And as a good general, I went in and I just basically told them, hey, I want my money back. I want all of the money that I invested into this deal out, or you and I are going to battle because I think you're not executing and you're putting my army at risk. My soldiers are going to die. Every investment needs to have an ROI and return on investment attached to it. Meaning, if you're doing an initiative, making an investment somewhere, starting a new division inside your business, it doesn't matter. Again, you're sending soldiers out and you expect them to recruit more and bring them back. Now, the general has a lot to do whether or not they're success, because they have the plan, they're the ones executing, they're ones focused on the project or the investment or the business. And so if for some reason you decide that this general is not executing, you've got to go in and protect your army just like I did and pull that army out. Now, this is a decision criteria for your money that will help you take the emotions out of making decisions. Most people make an emotional decision when making an investment. They're like, oh, I really like this guy, or I want to be in this space, or I'm thinking, I don't want you to do that. I want you to look at the spreadsheet and let the numbers decide, like, how likely am I going to get my men back? And how likely are they going to bring some friends to grow our overall army? This is the basic money principle that I use to make investments and actually get my money out there working for me so I'm not the one doing the work. Here's another example that I think will resonate. If you own a business and you decide to open a new division or make an investment or bring on a new technology or maybe invest in a new marketing plan or program, the most important thing that you can do as a leader is actually tie that new program to a budget and then the execution inside that budget. So the first question is, hey, who's my general that's going to lead this particular project inside of my business? What's their experience? What's their aptitude in terms of execution? What's the likelihood that they're going to go out and get more soldiers and bring them back to the company? This is a mindset or a decision-making process in order to make decisions around money that if you do this, it will remove the emotions from all of your money-making decisions. And it's a really big deal. So in both examples, I view the money as soldiers, and their number one thing is to go recruit others. The other issue is you want to make sure that as you send your soldiers out, you're getting a pulse to how that army is doing, how that general is actually leading. Because anytime you think the general is not executing or the army is at risk, you've got to go in and extract your army back into the fold. And if you don't do that, this is how most people lose money, make bad investments, and never execute. Okay, I've shared with you my investment decision criteria, which is a really big deal. And I want you to know that this is actually rooted in a book written in the 1926. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon. And this is one of the 5 laws of gold, how to invest and protect wealth. And it's super interesting. And I hope this particular idea, this concept of thinking of your dollars as an army to go out and recruit and come back and grow your overall army will be helpful as you invest and grow wealth.